Today we are going to edit a macro flower. You need to go to your class period in the P drive, go to the macro flower file and look for your image. You are going to open the raw image, which is the CR2 file, and you're going to want to adjust. Now we want to look at this image and figure out what it is that we need to adjust. Well, the whites in the center of this flower are a little bit bright, so I'm going to bring down the white first on this. Bring that white down. You can see that it definitely helps to help this area not be too blown out to white. Also, I'm going to maybe bring down my tint so I have a little more detail here in this flower. Bring it down to the left, and I can either have my flower be more of a purple or more of a warm color. I'm going to bring it down a little bit to the left. My exposure, I don't want to bring it up too much because I've got a really dark area around the flower. It's very dark fabric and the flower itself is pretty dark. So it is going to be naturally a little bit on the left in regards to the histogram. Here at the right corner of our raw processed image, we can see our histogram, and we can see how we adjust these will adjust our histogram. We can add maybe a little contrast to this. We definitely don't need highlights, so let's bring that down a little bit. That'll help to bring down the whites. Shadows, I think we're fine. Maybe even, working on bringing some of the shadow, less shadow detail out here in the fabric. So we can see how this raw process image is starting to definitely change. We're going to up the clarity a little bit, add a little bit of vibrance, add a little bit of saturation, and then we're going to open the image. Once the image is open, we're going to duplicate this layer and we're going to crop it. Okay, so we're going to duplicate the layer and we're going to crop the image. We want to come and we make sure we have width, height, and resolution. We want a height of, we want a width of 10 and we want a height of 8 and a resolution of 300. And I'm going to basically crop down this image a little bit and crop it something like that. I'm going to go ahead and check mark that. And now I'm going to zoom in by going Control+ on my keyboard, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And now I'm going to duplicate that layer. I'm going to call it oil paint. And I'm going to adjust my brush to 8 on the oil paint, to 10 on cleanliness. Oh my God, that's a tongue twister there. 10 on scale, and on bristle we're going to go 10 as well. In angular directions 300, and shine anywhere between 0 and 1. Okay? Anywhere between 0 and 1. I'm going to put 0 in, and I'm going to zoom in by going Control+ and kind of looking at this a little more closely. I like the way that looks. Say OK. And apply this a filter effect. We're going to have this, it's going to end up having kind of like an oil paint look to it, okay, with a canvas texture. So we're going to duplicate that layer. We're going to call it canvas. Okay, we're going to come up here to filter, and we're going to go to filter gallery. And we're going to click on texture. We're going to come to texturizer, and you're going to select canvas from the pull down. All right, and we are going to keep the scale at 200 and relief at 5. Top right, bottom right, it doesn't really matter. Bottom right, top right. Kind of zoom out. You can see that it now has a bit of a canvas texture to the surface, and you're going to say OK. And if we zoom in, we can see that we've got a beautiful oil paint effect with the canvas texture on the surface, and it looks like we basically painted this image. Control minus will zoom out. So you should have a total of 4 layers. Your beginning layer, your background copy where you do your crop, your oil paint where you duplicate, call it oil paint, your canvas, and now if you like, you can add a vignette. You could add a black vignette to this, You come down here to your adjustment layers. You put solid color, right? And that's how you get your vignette. And then you want to click on your layer mask, check your brush, maybe about a 50% opacity on our brush. And I'm just going to start to remove the vignette. And I want it on all 4 images, on all 4 corners. And it's going to be just like a round circle in the middle of my layer mask. And all 4 corners. Control plus, you can zoom in. Control minus, zoom out. You might notice that because you've added these different filter effects, it kind of impacts the image in kind of an odd way when you zoom out. But it's not how it's going to print, okay? It's going to print like this. So we want a little dark edges on all 4 corners of our layer mask, and then you are done. When you save this, you're going to go File, Save As. Go to the P drive. Go to the macro flower folder in your class period folder. Go to the macro flower folder, and you're going to call this MF underscore first initial last name, and you're going to save it in the macro flower folder, and that is that.